Come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass.
HAL SPARKS, actor, comedian, and multimedia personality.
And I'm all out of bubblegum.
HAL SPARKS.
All right, let's do this.
It's true. Here we are this morning, and I was running around this morning, even at one point concerned I might have to do a Beast of show because I have such a massive stomach ache that I don't know. It was just crazy. Yeah, no, I'm not gonna make. I am not making fart sounds. I'm not making. I'm not. I have a bunch. I'm saving them up for the happy ending. That'll be. Just count that. Just assume. Yeah, there you go.
I'm just gonna find random ones.
Right. I have a relationship with Stephanie Miller where if anybody in her circle knows this, that if you ever have gastrointestinal... Oh, thanks very much. Thanks, Johnny. Thanks. I feel so much better. After getting that.
I found a YouTube video called 10 Hours of Funny Fart Sounds.
Okay, I'll be the judge of that. Not bad. That's a solid one. Okay, I like that we like.
All right, we're going to be here for 10 hours, ladies and gentlemen.
That's right. It's a marathon. No, but I have a there's a rule if you're friends with Stephanie Miller that if you ever encounter gastrointestinal distress, you're responsible for logging all of its results before and giving them to her so that she has a full soundboard at all times.
Of real ones?
No, I'm kidding. I'm just saying she does so many.
I actually don't mind that approach, and if she doesn't do that yet, I think we should propose it.
Yes, exactly. I think I just got a great idea for an anniversary show video for Steph. We got all these famous people and friends.
I had a rough couple of weeks. But hey.
Yeah, right. We all had to put butter on a windowsill for 4 days. Thank you, Lisa, for the super chat. Lovely of you. She says Hal has gas. I do not have gas. I don't actually. That would make it easy. Actually, I simply just have sour tummy, and it's not fun. And it's definitely from whatever dinner was, because I was like, no. Like, you ever eat something and you're like, no, that's...
Yeah. Oh, that was a bad idea.
Yeah. It's good because, it ties into what we deal with every day story-wise, because...
Oh, here comes the segue. Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were going to make a segue.
I was so excited.
Yeah.
You thought I was going to do a fart sound.
No, because I've been reading all this stuff about the Trump White House lately, and all the food he was serving to all the folks that were in his you know what I'm talking about, like the guests that would come over, these professional football teams who care about their bodies, and this guy would just lay out this spread of like you don't understand. We don't eat this stuff. We just do ads for it because our fans eat this stuff. And that's why they're fans and we're athletes. Like, so that storyline overall, amongst the Ginny Thomas story, which is amazing. I don't know if you've been following that one. Clarence Thomas's wife, who has always been a Q-nut. And this was a lot like what's going on with Putin in Ukraine. The alarm bells were a-ringing, kids. They really were.
For a long time.
Everybody. And there was no surprise that, because there's no backing out of the QAnon ideology. There just isn't. The amount of ego committed to believing that crap, and the distance that you've had to make with your friends and family over the years, the relationships you sacrifice.
You lost your family. Like, I know so many people who have said, I don't have a family anymore because of all this nonsense.
Right, and and they do. By the way, Daphne says Hal might have gas, but Johnny Million has the flame, pure fire, pure eye candy.
Aw.
Yummity dum
And
dum.
Hal Vickery's mom would have been 102
Oh my God.
today, and he donated that much. He's
Oh,
amazing.
I missed that one as it was going by. Hal Vickery, thank you so much. If your mom was alive today, she'd
And
be
thank you, Daphne.
exhausted. There he is. Thank you. Because being 102 is a lot of work. I'm just saying.
It is. It should be mildly disgusted at this show so far.
Hal Vickery, thank you. It means a lot. The Before we get into the day's news, speaking of which, and again, this is a bad transition. Taylor Hawkins from Foo Fighters passing last night was a shock to everybody. The outpouring of love for this dude everywhere is just ubiquitous and indicative of what a lovely person he was and the depths of the friendships that he had and the tug and pull of those friendships. You know, the backstory of the Foo Fighters getting together and breaking up and getting back together and all that stuff. It wasn't, the friendships he had weren't based on we're rich rock stars and we're just doing it and we have no problems in the world. It was based on everybody's having real problems and they're working them out and getting past them. And then it was they were a great lesson in forgiveness and
Absolutely.
that I think we all could learn, because we all have some people we've parted ways with over the years for varying degrees, for varying reasons, to varying degrees, beg your pardon. And the lesson I think that what the Foo Fighters have been through, and especially Taylor's relationship with everybody in the band, is that you can bring it back. You can. It's not. And when it's just that kind of disagreement where it's heartbreak, but it's not, active damage. You have not physically harmed anyone. It's just heartbreak. That stuff is on a different tier than all the other stuff in life that you may think you can't recover from. That you can't. That's violent actions, real physical loss. That's in a different category. And a lot of people lump them together. And when people don't, when they go, all right, I can be the bigger person in this situation. I can put down my pride and welcome you back, and you can welcome me back into your home, and we can kind of start this work again, because what we had as friends and as artists together was so worthwhile that all this other stuff is noise. It's interfering with the joy of life. And I'm being stubborn, and you're being stubborn, and I'm holding on to stuff that you've already asked forgiveness for, and I've offered my apologies for what I might have done or misunderstood. Like, those kind of things have so much value in society, and they get overlooked these days. And again, Taylor and Dave went through a lot of that, as he did with a bunch of those guys. For a three-piece, there's a lot of guys in that band, and it has a lot to do with the fact that relationships, friendships, and artist collaborations came and went many times. And that, in some ways, I think that on a lesser scale, perhaps, I guess interfamily stuff is serious no matter what. But anyways, I want to say condolences to everybody who's in Taylor's circle of family and friends. You and I, Johnny, we only had the joy of knowing his music, but I know people who know him personally, and they're devastated right now. Richard Marx just recorded a song with him a little bit ago. Todd Kearns and all the guys in Slash's band, were about to do a show with him. When Axl Rose is coming out and issuing a statement, you've
touched the full spectrum.
Yes, you have. That's exactly right. So anyway, so to everybody and to the lovers of that music, jam it tonight. That's what the music is for, and that's the joy he brought. So and let's take a break. When we come back, I want to tie this in as best I can to the whole Ginny Thomas QAnon families and friendships torn apart by this weird loyalty to this nonsense, to this hateful gibberish, which I always find shocking. I guess I found the documentaries about the Waco, David Koresh, the Branch Davidians. I found that shocking. So why not this?
Super culty. Very
That's
scary.
right. We'll be back right after this. It's the HAL Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide on WCPT Radio, Chicago's Progressive Talk. And of course, it, bless his heart, it was drug related. And I gotta say, like, don't do drugs here, much less in Colombia. Yeah.
How rough it must be for his family, because him being on the other side of the world.
Yeah, when it happens.
Yeah.
And that's, I have to say that's one of the things, about Saget dying, when he did, same kind of thing. Yeah, it feels just as bad as Chris Cornell.
Feels like an
Chester
interruption.
Bennington. Yeah. Yeah, it does.
Because like Saget was just getting back into the road and was kind of doing his thing again. He was a good stand-up.
Mm-hmm. Let's see, hold on.
He had such a fun time going against his image. Like he rode that horse.
Yeah. Well, I mean, his stand-up, got dirtier after that. It was very interesting because it was affected by what he did. But thank you. That's another conversation for another time. Did you hear the joke?
The Unholy Land. What's the Unholy Land?
I think it's wherever they shot the video for the song Unholy, the Kiss song from Revenge.
Oh, yeah. I remember. So it's black and white there.
It is. Did you hear the joke from the woman on Bill Maher's show last night?
Not yet.
Are we back, Chicago?
12 seconds.
Okay. She said, what goes in your ass and doesn't buzz? A Soviet-made ass buzzer.
I know I'm only on one day a week. I get it. I'm going to have to jump on GarageBand and start sawing something together. This is the HAL Sparks Show. And a guitar note, and then progressive, and all that. Yeah, it's going to be good.
Hey, Hal, did you mean something like this?
This is the HAL Sparks Show. And a guitar note, and then progressive, and all that. Yeah, it's going to be good.
The HAL Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide.
Yeah, it's going to be good.
Welcome back to the show. So,
made
Johnny,
me sweat with that, Hal.
Johnny's still recovering from the joke I relayed to him during the break. If you don't know what the joke is, it was if you don't watch Real Time, a Russian American journalist told the joke on his show last night. That's all I'm going to tell you. Do your Googling.
You can find it.
And you'll enjoy it. I can't necessarily tell it on the air.
No.
The story about Ginny Thomas has been an ongoing one. It has been Ginny Thomas's relation to QAnon and all this stuff has we've been aware of this for a very long time. She's been, I think the first traces of this craziness really started coming up in the Obama years. And then,
I was on, like, I'm not as in touch and I don't pay as much attention to you, but every time it bubbled up, I was like, this person is crazy and she's married to who? And this is cool?
Right. And no, and he doesn't have to recuse himself from any of this stuff, and she's not whispering in his ear about this stuff all the time. And for all the craziness these folks had about Hillary Clinton and her socialist because she wants children to have insurance in the 90s from, S-chip. She's whispering in Bill's ear and telling him what to do. Just like, Biden's being puppet mastered by other people, that kind of deal. But when it comes to Ginny Thomas, no, of course not. He's what are you talking about? He's completely separated him from that. This story has sort of bubbled up over the last 2 weeks, especially. And this is a constantly moving story as well. So Clarence Thomas did he get out today? Or had they finally
in the hospital, right?
Health update, Stephen Ryan. No, Supreme Court Justice. Oh, yeah, he was released from the hospital yesterday. That's right. It wasn't this morning. But he'd been in the hospital for 10 days. And some people have made the case that this looks like a show and that he's doing this right as his wife's getting busted for all this stuff. He splits, and goes into the hospital like a sympathy moment.
Do some smoke and mirrors.
But he came out at exactly the wrong time. Like, if that's what you're doing, if this is a smoke screen, you need more smoke, because he's coming out right as this story is gaining genuine steam, and people would want an answer from him. Because before this is come and gone in waves, and they never got around to really making him answer this. And now there's a very strong chance that in the next 3 days, somebody, if once he's out walking around, they're going to go, we need to know what Clarence Thomas thinks about her beliefs and what he knew about her texts and da-da-da. That's a real conversation. He was being treated with
especially if this stuff makes it to the Supreme Court,
right? Yeah, especially the Jan 6 stuff. Now, there should be no surprise that Ginny Thomas and what that she believes this stuff, because it's absolutely in line with everything else that she believes. She's always been this way, right? So, however, the curious part to this for me is that she was also allegedly, and it's hard to even discuss these because it's actually happening now. She allegedly paid for some of the buses that brought the Jan 6ers to the Capitol, to the grounds. So this is from Woodward's and Bob Woodward and Robert Costa co-wrote this this article together, and they got I guess access to 29 of her messages. The reporters did. Apparently the Jan 6 committee has gotten 2,320 of them. And they are not, by the way, nobody is in any of these things claiming that they're covered in any kind of executive privilege. Like, she's not in the orbit in any way. But she refers to a couple of like hardcore QAnon people, a dude who is regularly on Alex Jones's show, or was until he went too far. This guy, I want to say, Pagenic, I think is how you pronounce his name. Pagenic. He was like, he's the guy who Alex Jones got busted for saying that the Sandy Hook, massacre was a false flag. It was staged. The parents were faking it. No children were lost. And he tormented these people with this BS for a long time. And it was heart-wrenching to watch. And these poor people ultimately sued him, and he's being deposed, and now he's feigning illness, so he doesn't have to get deposed. That's an ongoing thing. And ultimately, he's going to have to pay this money, and it's going to be devastating to InfoWars, and he deserves it, and it's awful, and that. But this guy, Pagenic, who was always on there, believed all these things were false flags. Columbine was a false flag, and the Waco. I mean, everything. Pearl Harbor, like everything is just government manipulation, intent on New World Order kind of stuff, and it is so over the top that that Alex stopped having him on. And for a little while, then he brought him back after you go into exile for a little while. But he brought him back on. But this is the guy who constantly oversteps even stuff that Alex Jones know that legally he'll be on the hook for now. So they broomed him again. Well, a little less than a year and a half ago, or and change. Here's Ginny Thomas, wife of Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas, basically quoting this guy to Mark Meadows in text going, I mean, I've heard this. Is this possible? And she just reeks of this kind of gibberish. I mean, she sounds exactly, for a grown woman who is the wife of a sitting Supreme Court justice, who you would think in some ways would be a serious human being because of the seriousness of what their partner does for a living, in theory.
Yeah.
You would think she would be surrounded by enough reality that there would be enough red flags in what she hears and sees to go, I can tell the difference between reality and crap, because my husband comes home with like paperwork that he's studying on all these. I mean, if he does, that's the other thing. I suppose I'm giving Clarence Thomas a lot of credit in this, but in theory,
hasn't he literally never spoken a word?
Well, no, after Scalia died, he started speaking a little more, but the idea was that he asked 2 questions in the last year, I think. But in theory, he at least has clerks come by the house and deal with stuff, and she's been to gatherings with him with all the rest of the Coast. She's surrounded by real issues. And yet she has no radar for lunacy. And it's one thing to say, well, then that must be there's something to it, because she's I mean, that's the dangerous part of this conversation for a lot of these lunatics is like, look, a wife of a Supreme Court justice who sees the insides, she knows the deep state. If there's anything deeper than deep state than a lifetime appointment, I don't know what it is. And she knows that this is real. And meanwhile, she doesn't. The weird thing is her texts all end with like, is this possible? This could be possible. You need to look into this. Which just means she's slapdash with this kind of lunacy. And she, in some ways, is so desperate to have Trump back in the White House.
And those are all like that's the Fox News way of things, is you ask this thing as a question.
Oh yeah.
But it really goes out as a statement.
Right. It's and a sarcastic question is not an actual question. And that's how Tucker Carlson does it all the time. Russell Brand does we're just presenting, different
ideas.
Points of view. Right, yeah. And so let's see. The text messages that they got from Ginny Thomas do not include the responses that Meadows sent back to her. But the ones that I guess Woodward and Costa got do. But the next day, Thomas sent a follow-up.
Let me guess, they don't say like, I'm going to block you next time.
Right.
Stop blowing up my phone. They're not like that,
Quit
are
it.
they?
So here you go. So this is, let's see if the November 5th, let's see, do we have time? Oh, we got to take a break. When we come back, I want to read some of these. Because this is, again, Master Creep Theater. We need to delve into what the actual beliefs that she's got going on there are, and how this affects law in our country.
Yeah.
Never mind that there's, Kavanaugh's, debts disappeared out of nowhere because they wanted him on the Supreme Court. This is stuff that it affects the opinions written into other stuff in nearly everything from the conservative side. We'll be back right after this. It's the HAL Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide. Oh, there's Philip with us. Philip, we'll have you on in the next hour if that's cool. Yeah.
Diana says that Trump is going to North Carolina next week.
Mm-hmm. Indeed, he is.
You're gonna have. You thought your stomach was sour already.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Thank you. Thank you very much. Look at Johnny. He's just falling apart. Sometimes you just need to solve life's problems with.
This is the palate cleanser we needed.
I swear to God, because the sonic quality of what you're playing on my end sounds like just a bunch of creaky doors in a haunted house. Just, hold on.
Whew.
I had to bring in reinforcements.
That's the intellectual discourse I came here for, into the chat room. Oh, that's perfect.
Yes, I got this before when I was like, this is when I was slumming it before I had a digital one.
Yeah.
These are all for Johnny, just to cheer him up. Someone made this.
Yeah.
Someone worked on this. Someone
I had a remote control one for a while.
They had a meeting about this.
Yep.
This is the lot number and the item number on the bottom of it. So they were like, there were a couple of versions. They're like, I think the speaker part should be bubbled out a little bit to give it some style, and then I need the buttons a little further apart so you don't accidentally hit two.
You don't want to hit two at once.
You do not. And then it just
what
says.
What kind of batteries does it take? Is it like a single AAA?
I have yet to run it down, so I couldn't tell you.
Okay. Don't open it. You might let them all out at once.
That's right. That's what I'm worried about. What
if you're just slowly releasing pressurized farts from inside a box and it's not a battery?
You open up and there's a little man inside there going.
And he's so tired. He is so tired.
Beans.
Attention. Stop what you're doing.
Oh, God.
Because we're coming back to the HAL Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide.
Oh my God! They went a little crazy with it, and I appreciate it.
Now let's get back with HAL Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide.
So,
it's a shame if you had to go to break.
Yeah, it is. You share because some days you just need fart jokes and other stuff to get you through. It just is,
that was like
you know.
4.5 minutes of farts. Yeah.
Necessary fake ones, by the way, just in case anybody at home thinks we're trying some sort of next level
fake.
Yeah. Oh, I see. Great. I was taking that for granted. So Ginny Thomas, speaking of fart air, was texting these messages to Mark Meadows, and they're good because they give you a snapshot of her thinking. So. In the message, this is from the Washington Post article. In the messages, Thomas and Meadows assert a belief that the election was stolen and seem to share a solidarity of purpose and faith, though they occasionally express difference on tactics. You think? And what? Yeah. The intense pressures you and our president are now experiencing are more intense than anything experienced. and then in parentheses, but I only felt a fraction of it in 91. Thomas wrote to Meadows on November 19th, an apparent reference to Justice Thomas's 91 confirmation hearings in which Anita Hill testified he made unwanted sexual comments when he was her boss. Thomas strongly denied the accusations. The first of the 29 messages between Ginny and Thomas was sent on November 5th, 2 days after the election. She sent him a link to a YouTube video labeled Trump Sting with CIA Director Steve Pjenik, the biggest election story in history, QFS-blockchain. So let's just understand. She's going all in with sandpaper lube at this point. She is not. She's not tiptoeing into this zone. No. This is straight up. It was. It's not only is it rigged, it's stolen, and they're all trying to destroy the country with, a big international global scheme, right? So she shared a video that of Pjenik's, saying, who's the guy who I told you about earlier, who thinks that Sandy Hook was a false flag, thinks Newtown was a false flag, or thinks beg your pardon, Pulse was a false flag, the Florida high school was a false flag, like all of it. It's just done so you can take guns away. That's the only reason. Every so often, gun rights advocates hate guns so much that they round up a bunch of kids and kill them just to try and get rid of guns, just to show how bad they are. Like, it's the weirdest theory. Here's the thing. If you said one of them was, you could almost ride that point that some nutcase arranged for a shooting because they want, it wasn't going fast enough. Like people who stage hate crimes and the like. You know what I mean? Those happen. But but if all of them are, then none of them are. Then it's, obviously people who hate guns wouldn't also use them to just kill a bunch of kids. Like, I hate this thing so much. I'm going to use it in the worst possible way. It's gibberish. Anyways, so watermarked ballots in over 12 states have been part of a huge Trump and military white hat sting operation in 12 key battleground states, she wrote. So white hats are what the QAnon people believe are these like operatives. They're the good guys in the deep state. The white hats. They talk about them all the time.
Deep undercover.
Yeah, deep undercover. In November 5th, in the November 5th message to Meadows, Thomas went on to quote a passage that had circulated on right-wing websites. Biden crime family and ballot fraud co-conspirators, parentheses, elected officials, bureaucrats, social media, censorship mongers, fake stream media reporters, etc., are being arrested and detained for ballot fraud right now and over the coming days, and will be living in barges off Gitmo to face military tribunals for sedition. So,
yeah, man,
this is not the situation where they think this is not possible. We went to bed on election night. We woke up and there's some shenanigans going on here. This is Hillary Clinton has already been hung nonsense. This is the story. And then my favorite, I have to say, do you have a favorite QAnon moment or idea? Because I do. Mine is that all the baddies, from Hillary Clinton to Joe Biden. This was all baddies. Yeah. All the big well-known ones. Podesta, Debbie Wasserman Schultz, whatever. They've all been tried by Trump in a special military tribunal at Gitmo, or, depending on who you look at special little gallows booths on White House grounds so they can't be seen, which is just creepy as hell, that people are just being hung at the White House surreptitiously after a military. I mean, it's crazy. But my favorite part isn't that. It's that they were replaced by clones, and those clones, because they're perfect clones, I suppose, are also guilty, even though they never committed the crimes, because they haven't been alive long enough to have actually done the stuff they're talking about. But they are going to be hung too. They just it's like digging somebody up and executing them again.
So that's the punchline of a lot of the QAnon theories, is that all these people are going to be hung in a friggin' public square?
Yes. Well, or that they already have. Tom Hanks was a clone. He and his wife were clones. That's why they were hiding, because they said they had COVID and they were hiding.
Just eating baby blood.
No, they did that to stay alive. That's how they've gotten famous all over these years. That's the price you gotta pay to look as young as Tom Hanks does. Because I mean, if you look at him now and you look at him in the Man with One Red Shoe, I mean, it's like seeing twins.
It's really hard to tell. Has he aged a day?
Yeah, Hillary hasn't aged a day since 1996. I love how they're like, they take this stuff because it makes you live forever. I'm like, well, apparently it's not working.
That's not really good.
Yeah,
they want to switch what they're taking. Wrong baby.
Yeah, that's right. They got the Benjamin Button baby, and they actually drank not aged baby. He's already been old, right? That's right.
Both ways.
We slipped some progeria blood in there with him. All right. So November 10th, Thomas drew a reply from Meadows. She wrote, "Mark, I wanted to text you and tell you for days that you're in my prayers." And she said, "Help this great president stand firm," invoking the greatest heist of our history. Thomas added in the message that Meadows should, quote, listen to Rush, Mark Stein, Bongino, and Cleta. I don't know who Cleta is, but Bongholio we cover quite often. Appearing to refer to conservative commentators Rush Limbaugh and Mark Stein, as well as lawyer Cleta Mitchell, I see, who was involved in Trump's push to claim victory in Georgia despite, okay, that's the woman. She's just one of the people who's been, griping on websites. A minute later, she's blowing up his phone. Meadows responded. Meadows actually responded. He said, "I will stand firm. We will fight until there is no fight left. Our country is too precious to give up on. Thanks for all you do."
People text this stuff?
Yeah.
My texts are more like, do you want the dinner with the beans and the rice or just the fish tacos?
That's right. Yeah, exactly. Can I have your sides? I'll eat your sides if you don't want them. That's right. Yeah, and then a bunch of emojis.
Could you order pancakes with your breakfast because mine don't come with pancakes?
And then 9 minutes later, after he replied, Thomas replied back to him, tearing up and praying for you guys. So proud to know you. Lots of exclamation points. Thomas then turned to her frustrations with congressional Republicans, which is a big. I'm a huge fan. I enjoy that. I like when they attack each other, and it's a side sport of mine. It's a hobby. House and Senate guys are pathetic too. Only 4 GOP House members seen out in street rallies with grassroots. Yeah, that's going to lead to something bad later. Gohmert, Jordan, Gosar, and Roy. What a shock. She appeared to be referring to, this was a troubled time for Trump. News organizations had declared Biden the winner on November 7th after a review of vote totals in each state and the electoral count. And then she starts writing to him again. Where the heck are all those who benefited by president's coattails? You mean the people who won their elections when he lost? Who has the coattails? Doesn't the winner have the coattails in this situation? All right. She wrote on November 10th. She wrote another one referencing Jared, like, just forwarded to your Gmail an email I sent Jared this AM. Oh, so he has a Gmail account. So he's using private email servers while working in the White House and exchanging emails that are crucial between the wife of a SCOTUS and, all right, a SCOTUS judge. That's good. A justice, rather. Just forwarded your Gmail an email I sent Jared this AM. I'm sure he cracked it right open. Sidney Powell and improved coordination now will help the cavalry come and fraud exposed and America saved. She sounds like Roseanne. We dealt with this with Roseanne Barr, as she kind of descended into QAnon and then went off the air after, for some reason, she found it a little screwy that Trump, that everybody, Juan Savin and all these people, and Kirsten W., the woman who died of COVID, shock, had all promised her, not only is Trump going to be back any day now, but all these people are dead. They hung them. They're going to hang their clones too. And he's been running things, and Biden's actually not even, he's on a set. He's not actually president. Like, where are all those people? Like, one of the funniest movies to watch is any 2012 documentary after 2013. They're hilarious. It's like Y2K documentaries were hilarious in 2001. They just are. They're adorable. And this, where's the, all right, so none of this panned out. Give me your best shot. Why did it happen? Are we in a parallel universe? What kind of Mandela effect answer do you have to this?
Totally happened. I saw the movie.
Right. So, anyways, we got to take a break. We'll be back right after this. Philip Itner's in Ukraine, and he's going to be joining us after the news after the next break and the news at the top of the next hour. So you don't want to miss that. This is the HAL Sparks Radio program, Mega Worldwide. Like every time I get like a thought going, I'm like, oh, like a list.
Really? Oh, that sucks.
Yeah. I mean, it will work its way through. I have no doubt, but I'm like, bleh.
Is it something you could take like one of those acid type pills, not Tums, but like I forget what they're called. Zantac.
I'm not taking acid pills. I don't know what kind of QAnon website.
What's this? Just a little slip of paper.
I'm taking acid mectin. It's a Nobel Prize winning for dissolving metal. Nobel Prize winning for dissolving metal.
Some people are recommending ginger ale. I know you like ginger ale.
I don't have any. Otherwise, yes, that's acid mectin. Asshole mectin. Suppositories. It's the suppository version.
Yeah, vomit and diarrhea. Ed P's got an idea.
Yeah, that'll
pretty out, man.
Yeah, let nature take its course. Asamectin, right. Thank you, Benny Loco.
If we were in the same room, I would squeeze you around the middle so hard.
I know you would. That's why you do the show from another state. Misty Q says 1 table of baking soda and water. That's a good idea. That I can make happen. Hal Vickery, just straight up Tums. Old school, knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
Don't take the brown acid. I'm being told by PHK. I'll try.
Have you ever heard that announcement?
Yeah.
At Woodstock? It's amazing. Don't take the brown acid. God.
Man, I mean, oh God. I'm just reading these for the first time, and they're adorable.
20 seconds.
Thank you.
Thank you. What, the texts?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she's a huge Sidney Powell fan.
Radio, Saturdays at 6 p.m. You're listening to HAL Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide.
I thought there was going to be like a new one every break. I was so excited.
You want more, Hal? We'll give you more. HAL Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide on Chicago's Progressive Talk, WCPT 820. Hoo-yah!
Welcome back. So we're looking into these Ginny Thomas text, and in and amongst it shouldn't come as any surprise that she's basically cut and pasting QAnon posts at this point. And there is no indication, by the way, that she has changed her mind at all. It is one thing to get swept up in lunacy while your world is crumbling around you because your party is losing and you can't believe it, and this whole thing, and she could have had, like COVID lockdown anxiety mixed with other stuff and just watched all the wrong, basically what happened to Putin. He got COVID paranoia and ended up watching a lot of Russian YouTube videos about Ukraine is actually a part of Russia, you know that? And so it's not surprising that she dove down into that. She wrote to him, to Mark Meadows, "This war is psychological. PSYOP!" In all quotes, or in all caps. And then
I knew it.
She writes him at butt in the morning, "Mark, don't want to wake you." That's why she texted instead of called, I guess. Sounds like Sydney and her team are getting inundated with evidence of fraud. Make a plan. Release the Kraken and save us from the left taking America down. Oh, God. Remember the Kraken? Remember all the Kraken stuff when we were cracking jokes at her expense? And the Kraken, and everybody was like, is the Kraken her lawsuit with all the typos in it?
I'm so glad you said lawsuit.
Yeah. Is Sidney Powell the Kraken? Is she cracking under pressure? Is the left cracking under pressure? Is the Kraken the actual Ray Harryhausen monster that's the virgin-eating beast from Clash of the Titans that looks like a giant version of the creature from the Black Lagoon with a tail? Or is the Kraken simply...
Why don't we hear the left howl like this about like, we've got to save our country from like, Trump is like as bad as it can get. And we're like, all right, guys, we need to regroup. This is really not good.
They think the Women's March with the knitted cat hats is equivalent to this. Instead of just being a protest, which effectively is what it is, just like, this awful man is going to be president of our lovely country. This is not right. That's the extent of it, right? Meanwhile, these folks are drumming up an entire, and again, even the most left-wing, people screaming and crying on election night when Hillary lost because they were emotionally impacted by it and all that. Still, they didn't go and create kind of like this sideline DC alternative universe that exists. You know what I mean? We didn't go and concoct this idea. I guess they think Russiagate was that's what they call Russiagate. We concocted this whole thing where he was tied to it, which, by the way, that's been in the news as well regarding the alleged Hunter Biden laptop, which, by the way, doesn't exist. Does not exist. It doesn't exist. Anybody who wants to tell me it exists needs to show me a picture of it, and they need to show me the metadata from the files from it. I am not going to take Russian disinfo printed on paper and mailed to someone and saying this came from a laptop. Please get over yourselves. But anyways, because of that stuff coming back up, these people have said, well, they were tormenting him by making up this concoction. They spied on his campaign, right? That they spied on his campaign, even though the data that was gathered that he's referring to of Russian phones pinging in the White House were during the Obama administration. There was this weird thing about these Russian burner phones that were pinging all around the White House grounds, oddly during the transition. And that's all. Not here's the numbers, here's the calls they made, recordings made, not here's the text of their emails, none of that stuff. It's just that these phones were pinging the towers. And this guy whose job it was, because the U.S. government had been attacked multiple times, as we know, not only did the RNC and the DNC get hacked, but so did David Petraeus' emails, his private, and an attempt to do his state emails, CIA emails rather, which failed, luckily. The interesting thing is, the only person that was there was an attempted hacking of that never got hacked was Hillary Clinton's private server. The only one that was state got hacked. WikiLeaks posted stuff from the RNC and the DNC. Well, from the DNC, they didn't post anything from the RNC. I don't know why that is. They only two, but they had both. But they only Anyways, the odd part about this, I don't know, but is that Hillary Clinton's email server that everybody's like, she should not have used it. This could have exposed classified documents to the world. She was slapped. Actually, nobody ever hacked that. Nobody was ever able to hack that. The 30,000 emails that were supposedly missing that Trump asked Russia to find were given from the other accounts they were sent to, and they amounted to a hill of beans. They were all wedding plans and all that kind of stuff. It was not personal stuff that needs to be turned over as evidence. Honestly. But this is a huge deal. that she's this nuts. You know, there was a moment when, do you remember when
Yes.
when Trump and Pence got into office and they went to the church for the first time and they had to sit there and listen to all the different religions give their addresses, and Trump was like, "What is this?" And Karen Pence walked up to the statue of Jesus and wouldn't walk away. She was just kind of staring at it. And Mike Pence did this really weird thing where he pulled her away, like kind of yanked her a little bit. And then that same thing happened when she shook the hands of Jared and Ivanka's kids. And he reached over and kind of pulled her hand because she kept shaking. It was just weird. It was like somebody's meds were off kind of moment. And then the rest of the time, they basically just kept her out of most stuff. Like, we didn't hear from her much. Yeah. The only time you ever did was when, you know, Trump called her Carrot Pence because she came to the National Prayer Breakfast thing. But this is that, you know, that they obviously went to certain ends to kind of distance Pence from her as far as her behavior. They're doing none of that. Clarence Thomas is not releasing a statement. The Supreme Court's not releasing a statement. Our husbands and wives have no impact on our blah, blah. We speak freely in our homes about our belief systems, but we do not speak about the internal workings. They're not doing any of that stuff. And the expectation is that they won't. Now, do I think Clarence Thomas will get impeached because of this or be forced to step down because of this? No, I don't. Should he? Yeah, absolutely. But will he? No. The weird thing is what happens if she gets in trouble for participating in this, for hiring those buses to take people to the White House grounds, and then to the people who eventually went to the Capitol, because the people she's talking to and about are not just standard MAGA folks. These are straight up QAnon. So the people that she brought and coordinated more than likely are in that mentality, meaning that some of them showed up on the White House steps in the building and attacking people. Right. And so she delivered people. Did they have the intent of committing a felony? And if they did, she's going to have to answer to that. And if she gets in trouble for that, and then they say, well, this is a free speech issue, and it goes to the Supreme Court, where does that leave Clarence Thomas? It's incredibly sketchy, but the reality is I feel like it's like frozen in place. We will see whether or not they address this. I think they should. I think the news is going to ask him at some point. I don't think he gets to do events. He'll use ill health as a way to dodge that. We got to take a break. When we come back, Philip's going to join us from Lviv and catch us up on what's going on in Ukraine. We're going to talk about some of the news coming out of there, that the Russians seem to have changed their tactic now, and they've lost a 7th general. We'll be back.
Do they have a tactic to not lose generals?
No, they're going to basically just claim the eastern part. That if they can move into this thing and then they all back out this way, there's enough of them to kind of hold the line in this area. They still have to lay siege to it nonstop. I don't see that working. But we'll hopefully, Philip, you can jump in there, use the same eCam link I sent you. I'll send it again in case he doesn't have it. Let's see. There we go.
I want to know, Hal, are you in Vegas or LA?
I'm in Vegas.
He's in his office/game party room. That's
Yeah,
where
right.
they bob for apples.
It's right. This is where the traditional bobbing for apples happens.
And I do my best apple bobbing when I'm actually just behind Hal, leaning into the bucket.
It's creeping me out.
What, that I told people that?
Yes. Not that you do it.
Not that I do it, that I shared it.
That's right. That's the thing. We have to have some secrets.
And every time, no matter where we are, every time I have to walk by Hal, I grab his hips and say,
bobbing for apples. And then
just bobbing for apples.
And then he makes me lay down on the ground and do fruit basket, and he can take another picture. And if you don't know what fruit basket is, it's think of the silence of the it's the silence of the lamb's tuck, but you lay down on your belly.
That coy look over your shoulder.
Ouch. I'm hurting my own stomach.
Hey.
Love you.
It's fun to watch the chat catch up.
Right. It takes a moment for them to realize what we're doing. I can't believe some people have probably never heard of the fruit basket.
I swear to God, I hadn't.
Really?
Yeah, I hadn't. No. Don is laughing at what I laughed at. The silence of the lamb's tongue.
Right. But you lay on your belly. He gets it from a different angle.
Yes. Oh, shit. Mark Kramer, I learned a lot from Hal.
Oh, no.
No. Mark, no.
I'm disappointed that that's what you're learning at this point. That's
right. He doesn't say that after the discussions with
of detail, right?
Bill or anything like that.
No.
I say. I'm going to grab a fizzy water right before we come back. I'll be right back.
Love you. No. Okay. Oh, there he is. Phil is joining. He's joining us right now. Okay, hold on 1 second.
I don't see Phil.
Hold on. We'll bring him in a second.
Hey.
Gotta do this. Bring this in. Go to preview mode. Go back to... How am I gonna do this? Beep-de-doo. I'll just do this. This will be easier. There we go.
Is Phil bringing Sparks sound effects?
Huh? Yes. Let's see. Okay, we're almost there. When we come back, I'll bring us up on screen all together. Give Phil a second. And guess quit it. That's not good. That
sounded bad.
That sounds like somebody disposing of a body.
Then I get a garbage disposal.
Right.
Just keep running the water.
No, hold on. Don't. Cameras.
Oh, my word.
Plus. Then we take this guy.
Coming back in 15.
He's had some lie.
Right. Quit it. I want this one.
I'm taking all Mark's jokes out of the chat. Trying to see if
You're listening to the HAL SPARKS radio program, Mega Worldwide.
I've had people walk out of me before, but not when I was being so charming.
Video streaming at HALSparks.com.
I don't care for you if the putrid sludge you're troweling out.
Puss-faced little pimp stick.
True progressive talk.
Might be a good time for you guys to give up.
Welcome back to the show. So joining us in just a second is our dear friend Philip. He's currently in Lviv right now. I'm setting up a scene so I can bring him in on there, and we'll see what we can do. Okay, so and Johnny Million, I please, if you can, keep the inappropriate sounds to yourself. That would be lovely.
We'll see what happens.
I know. We'll see what happens. How many times do I have to hear that? All right, 1 second. I'm adding there. 1 second. I'm adding cameras so we can have everybody in.
Okay.
Because this calls for some special arrangement. And then we'll get
Now,
this.
if you're busy, I could play some sound effects.
No.
No one wants the dead air.
Yeah, is that? Well, I don't know that it's it's dead air, but it'll just smell like something died. All right, and then I'll get these in here, and then once I have Philip in there, then we'll end up doing this in here. Hold on 1 second, and I'll transfer us over, and there we go to Phil. There he is. Okay, excellent. And ta-da! Excellent. I can fix all the other stuff to it now. Welcome to the show, Phil. There you are. Can you hear us?
You see me?
Yes, we do.
I can
Excellent.
hear you. Okay.
Now you can see us, maybe, possibly. I'm going
Thanks,
to
Philly.
do some. Getting everybody on screen at the same time is always an adventure. But indeed, here we are.
Given that we're not an actual TV network, we're doing really well.
We're doing really well. I just made an H out of our pictures because of my name. I'm that good.
What?
So and then publish that out, and now we're all here. So welcome to the show. How you doing, first of all?
Well, quite an interesting day.
Yeah. All right. Fill us
just
in.
going to answer one of your sparklers here.
Right in the chat.
To them, if you like. One of your sparklers is apparently having a fundraiser for Ukraine, and I just offered to talk to them if they'd like.
Excellent.
Anyhow, we got hit.
Yes.
Today.
Yeah.
Not excellent.
The fuel. It was a fuel storage facility or what have you?
It looks like it was yeah, that's what it looks like. It was at the base of a hill where there's the telecommunication tower. So there initially was some confusion about whether or not they were targeting that or whether or not they were targeting the fuel depot. But it does look like, instantly I could tell. And I put this on my social media for your guys who want to go take a look at actually what it looked like moments after the strike. Whenever you see a strike and it is that dark smoke, it's so depressing that I know this.
Yeah.
But whenever it's that dark smoke and it's not white smoke, it means that something is burning that is combustible.
Oh, yes.
So fuel, generally it's fuel.
Right.
But if you see white, it means that there is something burning that is not incendiary. And so I instantly knew that it was some sort of something that was combustible.
Right.
So it looks like, but this is in the city center. This is Lviv proper.
Right. The word on the that's been going on right now is that Russia is considering changing tactics and just seizing the eastern part of the country, which puts them back on their salami slice heels as far as taking a little bit more and a little bit more.
Right.
What's the word over there that's happening?
I brought this up. I don't know if you can see it here because of my light. Maybe I should turn off my light.
No, it doesn't matter.
I'll turn off my ring light. So maybe. Well, it looks like they're re-emphasizing the land bridge that we've talked about many times previously.
Yep.
That is, when this began, and I was back in LA.
Yeah.
And we started talking. I said that there were two primary strategic interests that Russia had in its invasion of Ukraine or potential Ukraine invasion, And that was a land bridge to support Crimea, but also the possibility of decapitating the government by taking Kiev.
Right.
They have now apparently realized that taking a place like Kiev or taking a place like Odessa is just not going to work.
Right.
I mean,
no.
You know, and this goes back to the amazing resilience of the Ukrainian people.
Yes.
So the Russians have had a rude awakening and realized, we thought we could take the entire country. We're not going to be able to do that.
No.
So we've got to scale back what our aspirations are, and they are clearly reemphasizing what is essential for them, and that is
allegedly essential.
The Black Sea Fleet. Well, okay, you and I disagree about what Russia's naval power should be, and I get your point. But I think that once the Arctic opens up, that they're going to want a stronger navy.
I don't doubt it, but it's mainly to deal with China's encroachment, because if you look at the BRI that they have planned, it involves encircling Russia. That is the next front they have to deal with. That everybody who says, you know, China, we drove Russia into China's hands and China's getting along with it and they're forming an alliance, is totally ignoring the fact that China has no interest in any positive future for Russia at all. They're a speed bump between them and the rest of the civilized world they want to sell stuff to in another direction. They are effectively a Panama Canal waiting to be dug.
And Russia and Chinese relations have never been good. No. Despite what they claim, they may have a common enemy in the West, but you know, if when you look at Chinese, going back to the Golden Horde of the 6th century or something like that.
Yeah. Before the Atari 2600.
The Northeast patch.
Right.
Yes. Right. I mean, my God, we weren't even playing on the.
I mean, the 2600 may have looked like an abacus. It may have looked like an abacus game, but ultimately it was digital. I am oftentimes.
How many Gen X references can we bring up?
I'm going to try. Yeah, we're all here, so we can do it. Yeah.
So I think that when the Northeast Passage opens up because of global warming, that the primary transport for shipping goods from east to west will be over the northern border of Russia, and they will control global trade through that, and as such will need a significant navy. We can argue that until it happens. We can dispute it,
and it's decades away. And
we'll have a gentleman's disagreement.
Exactly. Who in the world are they going to have build this gigantic railway through no man's land?
Well, yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. We'll have this argument now.
Right.
Who puts in millions and millions of dollars when your economy is tiny in building atomic icebreakers if you don't think that you actually can create a trading lane over the north of your country?
People who think they're
building atomic icebreakers.
Right. People who build those want to build them because they want to seize fishing ground that they think will open up because of that loose ice and will change where they get their food from, and that they will supply that food for the entirety of China and Europe. That's one of the other reasons. The other thing is you can threaten America. You can also threaten America with it.
Disagree.
Right. Point being, though, is that this idea that they want this land bridge.
Because the Panama Canal becomes the Panama Canal becomes a nothing burger if you can actually get stuff from Hong Kong or whatever, all the ports along the Pacific for China. If you don't have to go through Panama, you can go
to get to Europe, right?
The Northeast Passage,
right?
Yeah. Okay, but going back to the point that we originally started discussing is that they think it is an existential threat to them to have to be able to maintain the Sevastopol port. So they may have had aspirations of taking the entire country, but it is clear that that's not going to happen. They're not going to take Odessa. They're not going to take Kiev. What they can take by destroying Mariupol, which is a war crime, not taking it, but the way they're taking it is a war crime. But they don't care. They want very much to again. I don't know if you can see the map. I drew it up, but look, they want to have a land corridor to Crimea, and if that's what they get out of this, then they can claim victory. They will not take Kiev. They will not take Odessa. This attack on Lviv today is an interesting development because and I've some of your lovely audience who I adore have kind of criticized me a little bit about me not talking nuts and bolts. So let me talk nuts and bolts.
Sure.
So there is a stretch of land between what is called the Irpin River and the Pripyat, what is called the Pripyat marshlands, which is where Chernobyl is. We are now, and I did this in a vlog and all of self-promotion. Here we go. Go to my YouTube channel and check it out. I did an entire vlog about that. Well, not an entire vlog, but there's a section of my latest vlog where I talk about this. The ice is melting. We are going into spring. The Pripyat marshlands, which were frozen until this week, are now starting to thaw, and that means mud. So what they had perhaps, and again, we've talked about this with the Belarusian troops, they had hoped to cut off supply routes to the Ukrainian capital by going through the Pripyat marshes while they were still frozen. But because Lukashenko has the domestic issues in Belarus, he has been faffing about saying telling Putin, I'll go in, and then he does these fake kind of like, oh, we forgot our tires, we forgot our gas, we forgot our bullets, our generals aren't in place. So he's gone to the border and then he's pulled back to Minsk, and then he's gone to the border and he's pulled back to Minsk. It's too late now. The marshland is going to be impassable, except for the hardtop, the highways. So he can't invade, or the Russians and the Belarusians cannot invade to cut off a supply route. What they can do is go east of that that part of the Belarusian-Ukrainian border, and they can encircle Kiev if they wanted to, if Lukashenko agrees to it. And make no doubt about it, I have no doubt that Putin currently is trying to pressure Lukashenko to at least do something. And if I don't think Kiev is off the table yet, but I do think that they are reprioritizing in getting the land bridge to Crimea. And if that's all they get out of this, then they can claim victory, go back, restructure, and come back in 4 years. Whether or not the Ukrainians will let them do that is a different question, because Zelensky and the Ukrainians know very well that if that is just kind of like, we got this, like we did Crimea, but we'll be back.
No,
the Ukrainians will not accept that.
No, not at all. And that's where the fast track to actually joining NATO for the rest of Ukraine would happen immediately. That and the idea that Putin can claim
they can't join NATO.
Well,
they can't join NATO. No, they can't. They can't because of NATO's own doctrine. You can't join NATO if you have territory currently occupied. You can't. It's It's one of the founding. Rules.
So what I think is in that circumstance, and I'm talking about like post this, the idea that intermittent 4 years area, is that the Ukrainians, make a statement to the UN that this is legally our land, and that insofar as NATO admission, this is the line, but we believe this is our, and they make a special dispensation for this particular change in doctrine because of an extenuating circumstances around this. Now, people have been saying in the chat, Biden is going to be given is currently giving a speech. I'm going to watch it later after the show, obviously. But he's been, you know, I got to say, honestly, as sharp as I've seen him around this stuff. When he's talking about these things, because he was in foreign policy.
Have you seen him in Poland?
Yeah.
Have you seen him in Poland?
Yeah.
Holy. I'm, again, we talked yesterday and we were off the radio.
Yes, right.
So I could swear and stuff. So I'm gonna monitor my language. But have you seen him in Poland kissing babies and having pizza with soldiers and that's a president.
Yeah,
that's a guy who has empathy.
Hundreds of people came out. Yeah, hundreds of people were lining the streets to take pictures of him and his motorcade going to his hotel. Like, I mean, this is Kennedy level stuff, and it's nice to see again. You know, it's on a smaller scale, no question, because of the safety
of the
Yeah,
right.
Yep. Well,
I'm a jelly donut.
Yeah, that's right. I am a donut. I'm gonna see if
Crush Democratic uprising.
Hey, and while you're doing that,
hold on one second.
Resistance continued.
While you're doing that, Johnny.
Finally, in 1989.
Wait a second. Yeah, say again, real quick.
No, go do it.
Yeah.
No. Okay, real quick. Your audience, when the announcement came that there was a strike inside Lviv, your audience has been so lovely, and I just want to take this opportunity to tell all of the sparklers out there, thank you so much for expressing concern for my safety. You know, I put stuff out on social media and I put stuff out on my YouTube channel, and I wanted to let people know, and I saw all the notes of concern, but there is still music in Lviv, and there always will be.
Great.
And go take a look at my video. There's a guy who was on the central square while smoke was rising over Lviv, playing music. And we were driven off the square, rightfully so, because it was a safety concern. I mean, they could have followed up with another airstrike. So we went into this covered area where we were a little bit more safe. And this guy broke out his guitar, and like we have seen in air raid shelters in Kharkiv and Kiev and all around the world, all around the country, this guy broke into song.
Right.
And people were singing along with him, and I was singing along with him, and clapping, and you know, go home, Vladimir.
Yeah.
Go home. You can't beat these people.
So this is I'm gonna see if I can bring this up to the
So thank you, Sparklers.
Oh, and we went well over break, I think, too. So did I breeze past that break, or do we actually
take a break?
No, and
we passed it.
I did. Yeah. So let's take a real quick break. We'll do a 1 minute break, and then we'll come back. And then I'll set up to listen to some of Biden's speech. We'll be back.
Cool.
Hold on. This is the.
My landlady is asking me not to spread information about where the airstrike is. Bless your heart. Like I have the capability to do that. Oh, bless her.
Thank you very much.
Well, it was only a matter of time. It was only a matter of time.
Mr. President, they tell me you're over there somewhere. There you are. Thank you, Mr.
So hold on one second. I'm gonna have to turn this loopback audio up so we can hear a little bit of it, and then. Well, it gets all squirrely when I do that.
You're the first.
Yeah. So crap.
It's a rude awakening, though.
But the first.
It's not good when you see
of the first Polish Pope.
Smoke rising over the city.
Absolutely. By the way, can you hear that? Hold on.
On October 1978.
Coming back in 20.
Yes.
There were the words that would come to define Pope John Paul II. Words that would change the world.
It's cool. So.
Yeah, I can hear that really well, Hal.
Okay, good.
Welcome back to the house.
Johnny, if you get any questions from the audience, please let me know.
Yeah, we'll do that in a moment. Right now,
you know how much I love that.
Yes. We've got Philip Itner on the line with us, and we've got Johnny Million. He's going to be looking at some of the chat questions and giving to Philip while he's in Lviv. And President Biden is speaking in Warsaw right now.
John Paul brought the message here to Warsaw in his first trip back home as Pope in June of 1979. It was a message about the power of faith, the power of resilience, the power of the people. In the face of a cruel and brutal system of government, it was a message that helped end the Soviet repression in the Central Land and Eastern Europe 30 years ago. It was a message that will overcome the cruelty and brutality of this unjust war. When Pope John Paul brought that message in 1979, the Soviet Union ruled with an iron fist behind an iron curtain. Then a year later, the Solidarity movement took hold in Poland. While I know he couldn't be here tonight, we're all grateful in America and around the world for Lech Walesa. Reminds me of that phrase of philosopher Kierkegaard: faith sees best in the dark. And they were dark moments. 10 years later.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah. He's. Do you have something to say, Philip?
I'm touched.
Yeah.
I'm touched. It's a president. That's a president. Yep. He's quoting Kierkegaard.
Right. And from an awareness of what it is, not like, I don't know if some of you know this, but there was this guy Kierkegaard. He was a Republican. A lot of people don't know that.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't know that Poland was under the Soviet Union. A lot of Polish people don't know.
Javid comes up to him and goes, hey, here's a quote you can use.
Yeah, right.
No.
As we stand,
guy who actually knows what he's talking about.
As we stand here on the shores of Lake Walesa, it's Lech Walesa. It was right. The fact that he's there
Yosemites.
That's right, the Yosemanites. This is hold on. We'll continue on. We got another minute before we have to take our break, so let's listen to a little bit more. Hold on a second.
Collapsed.
Yeah.
And Poland and Central and Eastern Europe would soon be free. Nothing about that battle for freedom was simple or easy. It was a long, painful slog, fought over not days and months, but years and decades. But we emerged anew in the great battle for freedom, a battle between democracy and autocracy, between liberty and repression, between a rules-based order and one governed by brute force. In this battle, we need to be clear-eyed. This battle will not be won in days or months either. We need to steel ourselves for the long fight ahead.
We got to take a break. We'll be back right after this. It's the HAL Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide. We got Philip Itner with us from Ukraine, and of course, President Biden speaking in Warsaw, Poland. We'll be back right after this. The opening shot, like where he is, I swear Trump's gonna hate it. I'll show the.
Yeah.
People. I mean, I put it up on the screen.
Jon Stewart had it right about in the run-up when Biden was designated as the Democratic candidate. Stewart came out and said something that actually really struck me. He said, "Here's a guy that knows suffering. Here's a guy that knows pain, and we've been through a lot of pain globally, and he didn't know this was going to happen.
Right.
But I think one of the best things about Biden is that he is empathic.
Yes,
he really knows what it is to suffer loss.
Yeah.
To feel pain, and he's talking to these people and hitting a chord that, yeah, he's an old fart, and yeah, he's, whatever, all the rest of the complaints and the criticisms of him. But on a very basic human level, here's a guy that comes out and says, this isn't easy.
Yeah.
Life's tough.
Life's
tough. And you suffer through life. But it's better if we do it together, and it's better if we do it under the veil of freedom.
And we all have a responsibility to try and make the world a better place, because it's tough enough. We don't need it. The world does not need help being awful. Life never needs help being a struggle.
Whereas your guy who says, you just want to, let's just take their oil, or
right.
We're all bad guys.
Yeah, everybody's bad guys. You're killers. We're killers. There's killers everywhere. All killing is the same.
Everybody's killing. It's just all killers.
We're all like, where's your
right?
Right. So that's a lovely thing, but it's also
as
kind
opposed
of
as opposed to a guy who lost his wife, his children,
his daughter,
has had everything taken from him, and comes back and says, and not in the Clinton way of like, I'll feel your pain.
Real.
This guy does feel your pain.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And, there's also, thank you. There's also an element to where he's been through enough of this stuff that that he also knows what's serious and what isn't. Well, I think one of the things that frustrates the right about Biden is that he doesn't get upset about their gotchas as much as other people, because he's been through enough horrible stuff where he's like, it doesn't even chart, dude.
No, it's like...
Yep. Welcome back to the show. We were just having a little Biden love fest during the break, and making the point that, we are in a period of time, both with COVID and the current unpleasantness, and Putin's adventurism into the world and the like, that where there's enough like pain and suffering in the world that having Biden as a president, somebody who's been through some awful in his life, gives him a sense of perspective that he can actually, give as a gift back to other people. Unlike, some of the whiner and complainer crowd that we've had to deal with over the last little bit, that like, this is all happening to me. This is all, fine. COVID's happening. China attacked my administration.
I'm a victim.
Right. And there's a beauty to the fact that he recognizes that everybody's going through this kind of stuff.
Suffer.
But yeah, that's right. And that if
everybody's got their stuff.
And if you can work a little bit to make it better for folks, that's your job in life, because you know that. And life does not need any help from you being tough. So I'm going to listen to a little bit more, and then I'm going to get Philip and Johnny's response on that, and also any chat questions we have.
Johnny, I don't know if I can hear you.
Yeah, we got a few
Johnny,
chat
I don't
questions.
know if I can hear you, but oh, good, I can hear you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Everybody should be looking.
Choice of war. It's an example of one of the oldest human impulses, using brute force and disinformation to satisfy a craving for absolute power and control. It's nothing less than a direct challenge to the rule-based international order established since the end of World War II. And it threatens to return to decades of war that ravaged Europe before the international rule-based order was put in place. We cannot go back to that. We cannot. The gravity of the threat is why the response of the West has been so swift and so powerful and so unified, unprecedented and overwhelming. Swift and punishing cost are the only things that are going to get Russia to change its course. Within days of its invasion, the West has moved jointly with sanctions to damage Russia's economy. Russia's central bank is now blocked from global financial system, denying Kremlin's access to the war fund that's stashed around the globe. We've aimed at the heart of Russia's economy by stopping the imports of Russian energy to the United States. To date, the United States has sanctioned 140 Russian oligarchs and their family members, seizing their ill-begotten gains. their yachts, their luxury apartments, their mansions. We've sanctioned more than 400 Russian government officials, including key architects of this war. These officials and oligarchs have reaped enormous benefit from the corruption connected to the Kremlin.
Just a president doing president stuff, getting a round of applause from a foreign crowd while talking about clear and decisive action and not. And by the way, in the middle of all this, let's not forget that this is a guy who's not ratcheting up war. He's not. He is not. You're not talking about a president who is pounding.
He's saying. Sorry, Hal. He's saying pick a side.
Yeah.
Pick a side. Pick a side.
You are either on
time. You are either on this side or you are on that side. Either you're on the side of thuggery and might makes right, and there is no rule except for the rule of strength, or you're on the side of, as flawed as it is, democracy and liberal democracy, and the idea that even though you may not have the power, your ideas and the strength of your ideas should be observed and should be.
The fascinating.
He's pick a line, pick a lane and stick with it. I know what lane I'm in.
Yes, rules-based order saves lives. Period. End of story. That is how that is why we have not seen the death in the last century. That we've been alive compared to the century previous and the century previous to that. And the century by percentage and by absolute body count. The reason it's been going down over time and why life is kicking death's ass in most areas of the globe is because we agreed on a rules-based order like this, and we agreed on the sovereignty of these places. And I have clamored about this, and I brought this up multiple times. But Russia signed on to this in 1997 under Yeltsin. Before Putin took over, they agreed with NATO in the sovereignty of countries, and the rights of their borders, and the right to choose whatever form of defense that they want, which includes either joining NATO or not joining NATO. That's up to them. And Russia signed off on the NATO-Russian founding agreement in 97. I don't want to hear any conversations about, well, they said it over coffee in 1990. They weren't going to go into East Berlin.
And then they said they'd never,
No. They signed paperwork recognizing the sovereignty of Ukraine back in 1997. They can just, and every encroachment by NATO has been a response to Russia going, yeah, we didn't really mean that. I
think Biden. I like Biden for a lot of different reasons. I am not willing to say that he is the end all be all, but he might be the right guy for the right time.
I think he absolutely is, and I also don't believe. I don't believe in the concept of the right guy. I don't believe in there is no end all be all. We are human beings, and the idea, that's where you get into the perfect being the enemy of the good idea. I've never met a perfect man, but I know a lot of good ones, and they're choosing a good man over someone who I know is not good is not the lesser of two evils. It's not that kind of. No adult makes that kind of a decision.
By the way,
Yeah.
By the way, and Johnny, I hear you trying to chime in, and I want to get to the questions because I love the interaction. But I also want to make a point of, when we're talking about presidents, did you see Zelensky talking to Orban?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll see if I can pull that up as well. Yeah.
Him saying, I've been to Budapest, I've been to the monument on the river in Budapest. Now is the time for you to make a decision.
Yeah.
You know, are you going to repeat the crimes of the past? And Orban going like, okay, you got
me. Yeah. Yeah. Well, because these guys,
whether or not he'll follow through on that.
This
but
also
Zelensky took him to task.
Well, this speaks to the reality of being a dictator or an autocrat or even a strongman. And there are varying degrees of these folks. We have played footsie with autocrats and strongmen over time. The autocrats, we often fight to a draw, which is the Cold War. The strong men, we kind of go, well, this country will be a failed state without it, so I guess we have to deal with it. Like these kind of complex issues that show up. But when it comes to the strongmen, and Erdogan certainly thinks he is one, at some point when you get called out that you're Erdogan, beg your pardon, Orban, that and it applies to Erdogan as well.
It applies to Erdogan, yeah.
Yeah, it is that these guys have to at one point, because they view themselves as strongmen. It's really hard for them to admit that they are kowtowed to Putin. That you're a middle manager. And basically that's what he's calling them out on. Like, you guys act like you're the Trump of your country, and yet Hungary first, and and that whole idea, or Turkey first. And yet at the same time, you're basically a satellite state already, just like Belarus. So what are you saying?
Mm-hmm.
Who are you trying to convince?
How far from Lukashenko are you?
That's right. That's exactly right. And Luke and the Belarusians would be doing a lot better if they didn't have to deal with this. Belarus would be a much better country without being, puppeted by geographically.
I don't know if you've heard the stories of the Belarusian train conductors screwing up the train lines.
Wow.
Yeah, there's stories of Belarusian train conductors and engineers, diverting trains and screwing up the.
Yeah, because they don't want to participate, right?
No,
right.
No.
And rightly so. And again, this is Belarus in many ways is where is Ukraine 2011. Right now, in their current, leadership, they're puppet government pretending to not be. And at some point, you get called out as like, you're just Putin's dog. That's effectively where they are right now. And calling out Erdogan and calling out Orban about that very same issue. Like, you got a choice. You can run your own country and support your own country and be a free democracy and deal with the reality of that and reach across borders with other countries, or you could just have this guy's thumb on your neck forever.
Yeah, and it comes down from a national level as a leader, but it also comes down to the personal level. Look, I've been a journalist for 25 years. This is the first time that I am coming into a conflict and saying, no, I am not objective.
Right.
I am not going to try and just report. I'm taking a side. And it's like a breath of fresh air for me. I mean, I know which side of the fence I'm on, and you can call me a polemicist, you can call me a propagandist, you can call me whatever you'd like to call me, but I'm going to stand on this ground, and I'm very comfortable being here. I know which side of the fence I'm on. Right. I'm standing with the Ukrainians, and I'm going to stand here as long as I can, because these people deserve to have self-determination.
Right.
And if that makes me biased, well, I'm biased, but I'm not. Yeah. I am certainly not on the side of the autocrats.
Right. I mean, here's the thing. I don't technically think, and this is my own judgment. Then we got to take a break, and we'll come back and we'll get some questions and comments from the chat. Yeah.
If you want.
Yes. Yep. One of the biggest things is that journalists and of any ilk from the West, as much as they want to be as objective about a circumstance or a story as they possibly can, at root, they are incapable of objectivity about one thing. And that is...
Human beings can't be objective.
Well, freedom of the press.
No.
And if you're fighting against an organization...
Human beings can't be objective.
Well, no, I know that in general. I'm saying even as a point of art. Even as a point of art.
Is the important thing.
Right. Even as a point of art, the journalists themselves will have to admit that all of everything they write, whether they write cooking stories or whether they write reviews of stuff or whether they write politics or cover NASCAR, they all do that under the glowing protection of the freedom of speech, of a democratic society, of liberal democracy and a rules-based order. And so there is effectively a lack of objectivity. You can't be, well, the autocrats have a point, because you would not be able to do what you were doing if they did at all. You do not exist as a journalist in Russia. And when we come back, the one thing I will add, besides the questions,
I don't want to go to break until I make this quick point, and I'll make it really quickly so we can go to break and finish this. But also, there is no such thing as objectivity. We are all biased. The attempt for objectivity is the important thing. But as a journalist trying to draw the first draft of history, you should try and be as objective as you can. I believe that during my entire career. This is a completely different thing. I am not objective. I am not, strictly speaking, just being I am bearing witness. I am not being a journalist. I am bearing witness on the side of what I think is the right side of history, and that is with the Ukrainian people. And that's all I'll say, and we can go.
And agreed. Let's take a break. We'll be back right after this. We got a very short time after that. And I want to bring up the fact that Kremlin television has descended into a screaming match. We'll be back right after this.
Yeah, a screaming match.
Just a second, Phil.
Also,
HAL, the chat says that you're super duper loud compared to me and Phil.
I'm super loud?
That's what the chat says.
Okay, I tried to remedy that just now. Hopefully that'll fix it.
Okay.
And then I'll bring you guys up.
Check 1 2 1 2.
Mm-hmm.
Zhirinovsky's death is no small thing. We should try and squeeze that in.
Oh, the general, that guy, you mean? No,
Zhirinovsky, Vladimir Zhirinovsky, the head of the far-right party.
Oh, yeah.
In Russia, the LDPR.
Right.
But there's weird stuff going on in Russia.
Yeah.
There's weird stuff going on.
If honestly, it's not that weird.
If we can squeeze it in.
Yeah.
No, it's not weird. It's suspect.
Yeah, and it's completely predictable. Especially if Putin thinks he's in danger. Like, those guys are going to start falling out of windows all over the place. Anybody that could take his place is friggin' doomed. There's lined up private planes trying to get out of Russia like crazy. There's all these stories about them, what are effectively oligarchs trying to escape, when in reality, these are people who would take his place. And they just want to live. This, like, again, it's like the Shah leaving Iran. Get out of town, or they'll string you up, and then you can come back and run stuff.
So the chat is saying my volume is going up and down.
Yes, that's true.
I don't know what to do about that.
But that's a factor of technology. I think chat understand that he's coming to us from Ukraine, so sometimes the video will freeze a little bit. Sometimes the audio is give and take. That's just a reality.
I'm on my headphones. Do you want me to try and turn that off and maybe go just with my laptop?
No, don't change anything now, Phil.
Nope, you're fine.
Okay.
Well, welcome back to the show. So, before I went to break, there's this story that on 60 Minutes, the Russian version of 60 Minutes, which is 20 minutes long. But anyways. It's apparently it's paid for in rubles, so it's now 60 minutes is now 35 seconds. They have basically broken into a shouting match about how badly this is going. And one of the hosts, and I quote, Olga Skabieva, which, I mean, come on. This is a direct quote from Olga Skabieva, the host. She goes, so you sprinkled the ashes all over your head, but what do we do now? What's our plan? Everything is bad. Nothing is working out. Angrily questioning whether Tretyakov had anything to offer aside from criticism after he pointed out that societies tend to get tired of any military campaigns rather quickly. Skabieva argued, if you're tired, that doesn't mean that everyone else is tired. And that his support for the military... and questioning his support and saying that his commentary had the smell of something untoward, meaning he's propagandizing the loss. That this dude, by just saying, it's not going well. We're screwing this up. There's no there. There's no win. We're not taking Kiev. We're going to lose. We're not going to take Odessa. We're not going to take Kharkiv and hold it. We may even have Mariupol for a while and then be fighting over it for the next 10 years. They literally said, the very hosts of this show said that the taking of Kiev, beg your pardon, would take, and I quote, 11 minutes. That's what these people were saying. It would take 11 minutes for them to take Kiev. Wow. Now they're saying it's obvious the process of denazification of Ukraine will take a minimum of 15 to 20 years. He predicted Russian troops would have to remain on Ukrainian territory.
And the whole narrative of denazification.
It's just, I mean, it's insane. But the idea that Russia thinks it's going to be, quote unquote, denazifying Ukraine for 15 to 20 years. What, with these sanctions still on? You don't think we're going to take them off? What planet do they live on? I find it shocking. I mean, I'm not surprising that this is how they have to talk about it, because you guys saw the Kim Jong-un action movie where he fired his missile up in the sky and they were all jumping, and like hugging Kim Jong-un because the missile didn't blow up on the landing pad. It reeks of that stuff.
Well, and there are also Russian
expectations are important.
Yeah, there are also Russian commentators that are saying we should actually attack Poland or the Baltic states to try and connect with Kaliningrad,
right?
Their little enclave where they have their North Sea naval port. In for a penny, in for a pound. Let's just go.
Right.
They're
and
going nuts. They're going nuts.
Right, and that's the equivalent of, I suppose, the John Boltons of the world on our side, who've never saw a war they didn't like, and we're always like, all right, well, let's start these dominoes, going. Now, the Zhirinovsky thing, real quick, just so we can cover that. Vladimir Zhirinovsky is the guy. He's the guy who died just recently. That's it's funny that he's. Yeah. Well, explain to people who he is, and then we'll get into.
I'll do a real quick. I'll do a real quick thing and then we'll go to questions. But I did want to touch on Zhirinovsky's passing because Zhirinovsky's been a mainstay on the political stage in Russia he was there when I was there. When I was living in Moscow in the late 90s, he was there.
Right.
And the LDPR is a very far-right nationalist party. And Zhirinovsky cloaked himself in the persona of a clown, which allowed him to say stuff on the Russian political stage and the international stage that he may not have been able to do had he been a button down politician. So he played the clown, but he would occasionally say stuff like when Trump won when I saw.
Right, he's the guy who popped champagne.
Popping champagne.
Right.
He was popping champagne in the Duma, the lower house of the Russian parliament. He was popping champagne saying, we did it, we did it, we did it, we got Trump elected. Yeah. And so everybody went, Zhirinovsky, he's a clown, ha, 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 ha. But then when he said that, I went, oh, no.
Yeah.
Because he as much as he played the clown, he would oftentimes say stuff that was real because he was involved in the Russian power structure, and he was allowed to be involved in and the Russian power structure under Putin allowed him to be there and be red meat to the nationalists within Russia. And by allowing him to be there, occasionally they would he would be involved in the internal workings of Russia, and he would occasionally say stuff that was true. And I find, if I was a conspiracy theorist, which I am not, because Vladimir Wolfovich Zhirinovsky lived a very decadent life, and it is entirely possible that he just popped his
keeled
claws
over. Right.
But for having it happen now, it's because he could have said something that maybe Putin didn't want him to say.
Right.
But I am not suggesting any kind of conspiracy, because I'm not going to go down that path.
Right.
But his disappearance on the Russian political stage is the timing is weird. But it's a notable moment. It's like losing. It's not equivalent, but it's like losing McCain. At a fundamental. Not that I'm saying McCain was, that somebody
was a clown.
But
just for the viewers' edification.
But it's just like really weird.
For viewers' edification, Zhirinovsky said during the 2016 election, vote for Trump or it's nuclear war. He said that Hillary Clinton, if you vote for Hillary Clinton, there will, quote, be Hiroshimas and Nagasaki's everywhere. He was one of the people pushing the Hillary is a war hawk thing, and that's going to drive us to the edge of this thing. By the way, we now know that that Trump was supposed to give them Ukraine. It was supposed to be, they didn't need war to take it, because he was going to stand down NATO effectively and not promise American help, and that would be enough for them to roll in. Can you imagine the circumstance right now if Trump is in power, the Russians come in to do this, and we're not supplying them with stingers and with javelins and all this stuff? They're just done. And if
it's funny in the chat, as Malcolm Nance says, coincidence often takes a lot of planning.
That's right.
Spot on.
So there we go. So let's have some quick questions. We got a couple minutes left. Real quick. We'll get one in at least.
So a quickie. Phil, do you have a YouTube channel?
Yes, he does. I will post the link, by the way.
I do?
Yep.
Okay. All right, so Hal's going to post a link to the YouTube channel. This is from Betsy Milbach. Are the people of Lviv dealing with any supply shortages?
At this point, no. We're fine here. I just had oysters for lunch, so no, we're not.
Just that. I heard Putin says that's what you want. You want oysters and gender studies. That's why they got to bomb you. Exactly. You're the reason they're attacking. Right.
Yeah. No, we're fine here in the West, and as a matter of fact, there's still a steady supply chain. The Ukrainians have said that they're burning through so much munitions that they might have a problem. But again, it goes back to my point about the Pripyat region, which is quickly thawing, and they had perhaps hoped to sweep down and cut off a supply chain. They will not be able to do that. They might be able to come out of Belarus and go down and try and encircle Kiev, but they will not be able to shut off the supply chain. No, Ukraine is going to continue to get weapons, arms, and oysters.
Yeah, and oysters, right. Cool. We're getting at the bottom of the hour. Do you have one more real quick? Let's see. We got maybe 30 seconds.
Yeah. Our Benjamin Field wants to know if aid and supplies are visibly coming across from the border from Poland.
Yes, 100% still getting supplies from the international community, and the people here in Ukraine are very thankful for it. And as we're closing, I just want to say one quick thing. When people saw that Lviv had been attacked, they directly tried to message me, and they were saying to you, make sure it feels okay.
Yep.
And to me, that is it is a very deeply felt thing here, and I want to tell your audience that I did notice it, and your concern was deeply appreciated, and thank you for it. I am safe. There is music here in Lviv, and there always will be. Go check out my channel. I just posted video of the situation after the strike. You can't win, Vladimir. Go home.
Yeah. Thanks so much. We're at the end of the hour. Appreciate it. Heartbreak. Take care, and we will see you guys next time. Thanks, Chicago. And we'll see you. This is the HAL Sparks Radio program, Mega Worldwide. We'll see you next week. Thanks, Chicago.
Thank you.
Excellent.
Have you seen the line on my face on YouTube? What are you doing to me?
You have to move you around.
I don't like
no
that.
Kate McCucci this week.
I know, we didn't have time.
Second week, I have no Kate.
I know. We were running out of time on this, so let's see. I gotta do camera. Where's
I'll go listen to her.
Right. Okay. So Johnny's here. We go zoom and pan.
Because we got to be happy.
On Johnny,
we got to be happy.
And we move him over like that. There you go. See?
So many people in the chat have suggested that it's a Coke straw.
What is?
It's this big of me, the little white line that's on my face, that it's a Coke straw. That's where your brains go, people. Come on, sparklers.
There's a white line on your face? Where's that?
On YouTube.
There's a white line going right up to his nose.
Oh. That's so weird. Hold on. Publish.
Oh, that's terrible.
I didn't even see I don't know what the white line part was on this end.
Come on.
Yeah, seriously.
There's a white line going right up to Johnny's nose.
That's right.
That's what you see. Not a McDonald's straw, not a milkshake straw.
Clearly not.
A Coke straw.
The nerve.
A Coke.
All right, I'm gonna let you.
I really was touched. All of your fans that are still watching, I really was touched. Thank you so much.
They're good people, and I will. Everybody who's watching, I will post the link to his YouTube channel again. I've done it before, and we'll keep posting it so you guys can find it and you can share it as well. And then
I posted the attack, and there was a guy playing music, and they're not gonna break these people. They're not gonna break these people.
Yeah.
We have music, we have democracy, we have the rule of law, we have European liberal democracy, and they just
never will. So the joke that the Russian journalist said last night on Real Time, she's a Russian American journalist who's covered Putin for a long time. She told a joke on there. I told it to Johnny at the beginning. The joke is what goes in your ass and doesn't buzz. Oh, he's hearing something. What goes in your ass and doesn't buzz?
I'm checking. I'm hearing something. Maybe a air raid siren. No.
Okay. So yeah. So what goes in your ass and doesn't buzz?
What goes in your ass and doesn't buzz? Okay, I'll bite one.
A Soviet-made ass buzzer. So this. Just a random, I remember those kind of jokes from the 80s, and everything old is new again. Everything's a fucking reboot. That's just how we live right now. So anyways.
Well, look, Hal, if you want to talk midweek or sometime, we can try it again.
Absolutely.
If you want to do it during, and I get to swear, which is always fun.
It's it's way easier. Yeah.
I'm safe. I was up early this morning talking to a colleague of mine, a Russian friend of mine in the States. There may be a change in my status. I'm staying in Ukraine, but I might move towns.
Okay.
But I don't want to get ahead of myself.
Yeah.
I'll keep you posted.
Excellent.
But I'm not going anywhere. I'm standing my ground.
Yep. All right. Well, be safe. And we will talk to you again soon, and I'll have you on the show as as soon as we can. And
I love doing it. I love doing it.
Of course, it's great.
Thank you, sparklers.
Yep.
You guys are the best. Thank you so much for your concern when you saw Lviv get hit. I mean, the flood of are you safe? Are you safe? Are you safe?
Yeah. Lovely.
It's nice to know there are people out. It sustains me.
Good. Well, that's what we're here for too. So, and we look forward to seeing you stateside after all this resolves,
of course.
or when you join the comms team for the new Ukrainian government. That their anti-Putin push that they have to develop to turn Belarus blue. We'll talk about that at some point. Anyways, much love, Johnny. I will see you later.
Hey, Johnny. Thank you, Johnny. I like seeing you on the weekends. Thank you so much.
Ditto.
Cool. All right. Bye, guys. Cheers.
Bye,
Thanks,
everybody.
chat. See you later.
Love you.